This person's not ready to play. They're not fast enough. They're not physical enough. They're not strong enough. They don't know the playbook well enough. Or they just need a year to go from high school to college.
People see redshirting as a negative thing sometimes, like players, because they want to be the stars.
Yeah. You know, redshirting for me was great. I wasn't ready for a wide variety of reasons. It was academics. I got there, got caught up in party life and wanted to be on the scene all the time. Physically, I wasn't ready. And then getting ready for that big, massive playbook. You go from high school where it's like, okay, line up here and go make a play. Just be a player.
Right.
Whereas now all of a sudden you're in college where you're part of a system and everybody has their own little cog that they represent when they're out there. And so for me, I felt like that was the best thing to do was to redshirt.
I've seen practice squad jerseys. It's a red jersey.
Yeah, it means don't touch. Like when you see the quarterback with it on, that's like danger. Stay away from him. Don't hit this guy. It could be a guy who's injured. Well, not injured, but he's coming off an injury.
So the red shirt has a lot of different meanings.
Well, when we're talking about it, redshirting, when you talk about it as far as college goes, it just simply means for any 5 or 6 reasons that this person's not ready to play. They're not fast enough, they're not physical enough, they're not strong enough, they don't know the playbook well enough, or they just need a year to go from high school to college. So that year is kind of like a gap year. Like it gives you an opportunity to get accustomed to the academics, the social life, what football entails, like how to balance your life as a football player. And so that year is kind of like you go to the weight room. You're going to travel to certain games if they want you to. It's up to the team whether or not they want you traveling. But home games, you come there. I don't know how it's done now, but I know for us, we had to be there like an hour before the game, whereas the rest of the team was there like 2 hours. So, you don't get in the way. You come in, you get dressed. No, why are you laughing?
It's kind of like y'all got to be here when we get here. Y'all come later.
Well, yeah, because you're not getting taped and you don't need the coach's attention. So, you get there like an hour before the game starts. You come in, and it used to be you had to wear the entire uniform. Now, guys get on the sideline. They can wear their jerseys. They can wear like some team gear or whatever. So, now it's like it's not as uncomfortable as when I played. You had to be on the sideline with, your shoulder pads, hip pads, your full outfit on, and you were never going to get in the game.
Yeah.
And so, now kids are on the sideline. They got their Jordans on. They got sweatpants. And so they're a lot more comfortable. But it's a good year, I think. And unless a kid is just superbly athletic, knows the game like no other, I think it's only to their benefit to go in to a redshirt year, to come in and say, you know what, I'm going to use this year to get my academics up. I'm going to use this to get physically better. I'm going to use it to get mentally better when it comes to the playbook. So, to me, I looking back on it now, being my age, I understand how important that redshirt year is, and that there aren't very many kids that are ready to come in and play straight out of high school.
But the redshirting in general, the vibe is not ready.
Yeah. If you just want to cut down, bone dry,
redshirting
you're not
means
ready.
Not ready. And is the perception of that with players negative and positive? It's not ready.
Yeah, if you're going to just cut and dry like that, you're not ready. Some guys will have a bit of an ego with that. But realistically, when you go to training camps, when you're in the weight room, you're watching guys who've been there a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it may be. You're watching them and you see like, damn, he's moving some real weight over there. Or this guy's taking on a double team of 600 pounds and he's moving them like they're rag dolls. So if you're honest with yourself,
it's a proving ground.
It's a proving ground. You prove that you're ready. And with the rules and regulations now, you can play up to 4 games without losing a red shirt. So you can have, and I forget what year that started, but it's been a recent thing where kids can play 4 games and not have to worry about losing a red shirt year. So they can acquire stats, they can go out there and get experience, and the coaches can see, well, maybe this guy is ready to play and we can put him in. But if not, you have 4 games to see.
And losing a redshirt year can be a negative, if I'm understanding that correctly.
Yeah.
If you get in enough games and then they say, actually, you are a player.
Yeah.
And you're like, actually, that was horrible what I did out there these last 4 games. Please don't put that in my stats.
Yeah, well, you know what? The stats is okay. It's fine. It's just that those 4 games, if you are in a situation of where they're like, man, can he play? Does he need that year to get bigger, faster, stronger? And so you have those 4 games, and I think if you use them properly, you say, okay, here's a game where they like to pass the ball. So if I consider you a pass rusher, this is a game I want to see you play. Okay. If I'm bringing you in and you're more of a run stopper, okay, well, we're playing Nebraska, so they like to run the ball a lot. So we're going to bring you in. So there are ways that coaches can manage kids and put them in and see, are they ready to play without burning that year.
Yeah. I mean, I understand the developmental part of it. I understand that it's a proving grounds. It all makes sense on paper. Yeah. But I also have played football before, right? And I know how brutal people on the team could be towards somebody they think might be lesser than.
Yeah.
You know, especially if the perspective is not ready. It's like, oh, dog, you not ready, bro.
Yeah,
like, it's like,
I'm going to kick your butt all day long.
Come on, bro. You not us. They not like us.
They're not. You got to have that year. You got to have that year.
I remember when I was like 3rd string in high school, right? I wasn't nothing, bro. I'm only on the football team because the peer pressure of being on the football team. It was just so enormous coming from the, low income neighborhood. It's like there was such a degree of manhood to play sports, let alone the toughest sport, right? You were like, I got to get in there, and like it was a proving grounds mentally, just in your status socially, right? Whether you gonna get under the squad or not. And yeah, I guess I was redshirting. Not really, obviously. The term is for college and pro, but I was getting active on the practice field. That's where I was getting my burns. So I think about like when you go back and you're saying like what redshirting used to be, you had to get in full uniform. You had to get in full uniform and stand on the sidelines.
And just stand there.
I remember back in the day when I was in high school and I get suited up and I'm like hoping I would get in on some garbage time plays. I'm hoping maybe I get some final plays because it's like getting in the game was so important. It was so big. Just the energy of players who did get a lot of field time. The jokes they would have, they would be so psychological. So I remember we played some team. I don't remember the name of the school. This is back in Baltimore, Maryland, when I went to school at Dundalk High School, right? And we played some squad, and I got in for maybe one play. I got dusted. And I think the dude on our squad even knew. He was like, this boy lunched me, bro. He ain't doing nothing out here. Lunch meet, I came off the field off of one play, and I remember this kid named Dante, who used to be my best friend. I remember this moment when he said this to me. I was like, I guess we're not friends anymore. This is a dude I grew up with. We bonded over Bone Thugs and Harmony early on. Yeah. We were big on crosswords. We listened to East 1999 Eternal on repeat. And this moment is when I was like, we are not friends anymore. Socially, we're in different groups because it's high school now. We grew up on a middle school. I came off the field that one play. We're getting back on the team bus. And he looked at me. He was like, look at Anwar, uniform clean as hell. As clean as uniform on the bus. And it was so embarrassing.
Yeah.
It was so, I remember feeling the lowest. Like, coming back with a clean uniform meant you weren't on the field.
You didn't get any action.
You should have grass stains on this.
Yeah. I used to see guys, even, especially in high school, because you make that joke, that was like taboo. Like, you did not want to get back on there. You wanted to be sweaty. You wanted to be dirty.
You want to be a mess.
Yeah, you wanted to be a mess. And so guys, even during stretching and warm-ups and tackling drills, you see guys going extra hard. And you're like, what the hell is he doing? And you're like, you see them all on the ground, and you're like, oh, you want to be able to say you played at the end of the game. And you're like, when you play a lot, you look at that kind of like, that's stupid. Why are you doing that? But to somebody who's only going to get in 1 or 2 plays, and then you see right away, like, okay, you trying to save your butt for when you get on the bus.
But right there, like even in stretches, there's a psychological warfare happening.
Yeah.
Why you stretching so hard?
Yeah. It's always something.
You getting real loose to stand around, huh? Mm-hmm. It's just so psychological sports. So redshirting in general is just, I couldn't imagine. That's tough.
It's not like when you get to college, it's really not that bad because a large majority of the people that you come in with are going to redshirt. Okay. So it's like a bond amongst you guys that now I have to work harder. Now I have to prove that I belong. Because it's like you said, you come in as this rookie and your accolades have been here for so long, and now you hit the factory reset, and now you've got to prove that all over again. Right. So, there's only, let's say you have 20 kids come in, maybe 3 or 4 of them will actually play, which is, like rare. And so you get kids that redshirt, and you actually get more bonding time, and you get to learn your people around you. You learn your teammates because you're like, okay, well, this guy's from here. He likes to do some of the same things I do. So you actually create a bond as you're trying to be part of the bigger team.
Right. Because I'd imagine like the real goal is the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, so honestly, we're all in proving grounds. Yeah. College football is the proving grounds to going pro. But obviously, that's changed with NIL. I can imagine that's changed now. People start seeing themselves as stars. It's like I'm already a star.
Yeah, they do. It's tough because, like you said, you have these guys who are making money, and they don't want to redshirt. They don't want to wait. I can get that instant money right now. If I'm playing, these are all the benefits of playing, and it's hard to get a young man or a young woman to look past that immediate gratification right now of, well, if I'm on the field, then I get the opportunity for these things. I get the opportunity to have certain companies come and I can represent them, and it's like I hear you. And that's very attractive, but you have to have somebody there who is saying to you, like, I understand this dream, but let's look at the long-term dream. Let's look at what are you trying to do, and that kind of comes into, what we were talking about earlier back with my son and redshirting, and it's like when he transferred to go to Washington.
Yeah, take him down the road.
Yeah. So just to kind of, because we were getting there, and when he was at U of A his first 2 years, I felt like he needed to redshirt. Like, you need to redshirt. You're not big enough. You're not strong enough. I see your technique is good because, I like to say I did that. So, I know your technique is good
that's
to go.
That's me right there.
That's all me, right? But I felt like he wasn't ready. But being at school and practicing and showing what he could do, the coaches felt like out of all the freshmen that we brought in, he's the most ready to play. And so he never redshirted when he was at U of A. So he went freshman, sophomore year, and then everything happened with Coach Fish being called up to Washington. He transferred to Washington. Now.
And how often is a freshman just game ready? Is that rare, or is that a normal thing?
I think it's rare, but you tend to see it a lot.
Okay.
And that's like what we were talking about. Are they really ready, or are they just showing some flashes? I think that 90% of these kids need to redshirt. That's just a personal opinion, having gone through it myself, having a kid that I'm constantly fighting with that I feel like needs to take a red shirt. I feel like it's only something that's going to help these kids. And in his situation, like we were talking, he has the opportunity now when going to Washington. The game plan for him was talking to the coaches like, hey, we love you, the technique, we love what you bring to the table, but you're now going from a division where it was a lot of pass rush. It wasn't as physical. Now it's more physical. So we are now, because you never used that red shirt, you still have it available. Mm-hmm. So we want to use that coming up here. We want to get you a year under your belt, get acclimated to the academics, to the weather, socially, everything that you need to do to make sure that you have the best career you can have. But now since he's been there, he's putting on weight. He's excelling on the field.
Eating that fish up there in Seattle.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing, but he's getting a lot better.
Pike Place throwing them fishes.
Throwing fish every week.
Eating catfish sandwiches every day.
And so he has talked to me, and it's like, Dad, I'm in a situation where they're like, you want to play or you want a red shirt? And I know him. He wants to play. He wants to get on that field. It was the same at U of A. The same thing we went through at U of A. I feel like we're going through it again at Washington because it's like, I'm like, please take the red shirt. You should red shirt. Yeah. Here are all the benefits to red shirting. I mean, you've never played in front of 80,000 people before. This is your first time at this academic school where they go trimesters instead of semesters. You got 3 semesters versus 2 semesters.
What?
Yeah, so they do in Washington it's 3 semesters.
Illegal.
No, but it helps in going into the season because when they're playing, they're not in school yet. So the first 4 games of the season, the kids are still out. So it does work to their advantage. But for me, I'm looking at it like you just went from a pass rush league, a little bit softer league, to now you're going to big winter, these big woolly mammoth men lining up across from you. And I personally think that year of being at practice every day, going against these same size guys every day, getting you ready physically. So when you do come out there after your redshirt year, it's to the advantage. But once you play, man,
Right.
it's hard to turn.
Yeah,
because
because you personally understand those stakes. Is your son honest enough to understand those stakes? And if he does understand those stakes, like, is he still trying to pop out there regardless of them?
I think he wants to play, man. At the end of
He's
the day,
hungry.
Yeah, he's hungry. He's so hungry to
And does
play.
that kind of give you a fire? Like, he's just hungry to get out there and
Yeah,
really
it
prove
does.
himself?
It does. I love the fact that he wants to get out there and he wants to prove himself. But as a father who's looking at that long term, it's like, hey, man, get this year underneath your belt. If they need you to play, you have 4 games that you can go out here and play. You're not going to lose your red shirt. But if you go out there and you're balling in 2 or 3 games and they say, man, we got to play this kid, then that's fine. But I just feel like give yourself an opportunity to be successful. It's better for them to say, hey, Deuce, you know what? We need you. Get in there versus you getting out there. You're getting your butt kicked, knocked around. You're getting injuries that are going to slow you down. So it's once again, it comes to this, and it kind of goes back to one of the episodes that we had did. We were talking about the helicopter parenting. It's like I'm now being that parent. Yeah, I got to check myself on that stuff because I'm like, okay, you've given him what you think. You've given him, hey, this is what I feel. These are the reasons why. Here's a PowerPoint presentation of all the reasons why I think you should redshirt. But at the end of the day, I gave him the information. Right. Now I have to let him go with it.
You're not trying to helicopter parent and hover. You're trying to drop off a care package and fly off.
I wish it was that easy. I wish I could just drop it off and leave. It's just that I feel like, and I can be honest, I feel like as a parent, I've been through this. I've been through college. I've been through pro. I know what's best. And I have to check my ego when it comes to.
Sound like your mom.
Right. Hey, the apple don't fall far from the tree. But it's for me, I have to constantly be aware of, don't do that, okay? You give them the information. This is what I think. Here you go. Take a look at it. But I know my kid, and he wants to play.
You know what he's going to do.
And I'm pretty sure what he's going to do, especially when you say as a coach, hey, we love to have you play, but we don't need you to play.
So he's not starting.
He could. He could.
What?
He could. I don't know because I'm one of those parents that when my kid calls me and tells me how great he's doing, I'm like, oh, my God, that's so awesome. I love it. I love it. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I have this checklist of things of like, who are you going against in practice every day? Are these linemen the top tier of the conference? Are they middle? Are they bottom? Like, there's a million questions that I have to go through before I'm like, yeah, you've arrived.
Right. Are they students that actually care about this? Because you can get on the football team in college and not really care.
Oh, yeah. There's plenty of guys that were – I know some guys where they were good in high school.
Wendell Bryant was talking about that.
It's just guys that are good. Like, I love playing football, but I didn't have that passion of, oh, God, I got hurt. I'll fight through anything. No, man. I got hurt. I'm done. Mm-hmm. And, it does take a bit of, like, looking at yourself and being like, how bad do I want this? Mm-hmm. And I know this is something that he's always wanted, to prove that he can play and play at a high level. And I think to a certain degree, there is that level of, I want to surpass my dad. Like, I want to outdo what you did, not in a crazy, reckless way, but it's like, well, Dad, you did this, and I know you think you know everything, but I want to forge my own path. And that's where I think me and him, we kind of get into it because I'm like, I feel like, well, I know. I'm trying to tell you what's best for you. And it's like, well, Dad, then you just do a show talking about you got to let them grow up and be their own man.
Right. And he listens.
Oh, yeah. He listens. Oh, he throws it back in my face. Oh, yeah. There's nothing worse than your words coming back. He does. He'll throw. Well, remember when you said last week.
He be listening with the homies. Come and listen to my father.
Yeah, like you think he's spitting game out here.
So, like, when you're fighting against, like, these players that you don't know where they're at mentally, maybe getting in the game is like a stage of proving grounds for him mentally. Because on the worst case scenario is he gets in the game and then he thinks he's at a level that he's not, right? And then it leads to whatever that road leads down. Yeah. Best case scenario is he gets some game time and he's like, okay, let me take this back to the red shirt, keep on refining it.
Yeah.
Rather than think, I'm a starter now.
Yeah. But once you get a taste of that, though, it's
hard to go back.
It's going to be hard to go back, and I know because he is a new guy there, he's having to start all over again. He's having to prove himself to the coaches that don't know him, that didn't come from Arizona. He's having to prove himself to the players that are there, that I'm not just here because my coaches like me and they needed a body. Like, I can really play.
And then the psychological battle, it's like, if I go back to redshirting, oh, you ain't here full time. You gotta get back in there.
Yeah. It's like all the stuff that we've talked about where you get these coaches that'll be like, oh, you're not ready to go. You shouldn't go. That's a mistake. And it's like, no, it's not a mistake. Here's the game plan. Mm-hmm. And I think he wants to jump over some steps just to be able to prove people that I can do this. I told y'all I can do this. Whereas me, I'm like, I know you can do it. I know what you're capable of. I've seen his little report cards that he gets after every scrimmage. And, they're talking about how well he's playing, how well his pass rush is. He's doing everything he needs to. But in his mind, I want to prove everybody wrong right now versus giving me that 6-8 months that I really need to come out and show y'all who I am.
I think long term. So this is my perspective, Russ. You might even hate this. I think in your early 20s you need that reality check like that.
That whether or not you're ready for something.
Yeah, because you think, oh, I'm this, I'm gonna prove him wrong. I think we all had that at that age. Just like, oh, this little, you see all these success stories of people that break the rules, and you're like, well, I'm gonna break the rule.
Yeah,
and sometimes it lands, but that's so rare.
Yeah.
It's so rare, and you don't ever want to tell somebody not to do it on the off chance that they are the anomaly. Yeah. Everyone thinks they're different, you know. But I do think as an early 20-year-old, which is the worst age to be, by the way.
No, it's the best age to be. What are you talking about, man?
Worst. I think you need that reality check. You got to get out on that world stage, and I guess, for lack of a better way of saying it, embarrass yourself a little bit.
Or succeed. Yeah.
It could go either way, and it's that gray area. It's that unknown that you have to just kind of jump off the cliff.
Yeah, and I think he's already made that decision for
he's
himself.
Already there.
Yeah. Because, the phone conversations, I can't get him on the phone. I send him these long text messages, and there's like, yeah, okay, So I already know where he's heading in his mind, and that's fine. But I guess my thing is I want you to have had all the information laid out to you. These are all the pros of why you shouldn't do it. But if you go out there and you're balling out, then God bless you. That gets you 1 year closer to the NFL.
So let's take it back to you. You said something earlier. You're trying to, you're tussling with the helicopter parenting, right? Are you like trying to make contingencies for what happens after that decision follows through? Are you going to be I told you so, or are you going to be like a safety net?
I only use I told you so with my wife. No, I'm joking. But no, I try not to do that with my kids. I don't, because I know when I've experienced things like that where I wanted to go out and do it on my own and I've been burnt, even though people don't say it, you in your mind, you're saying it. Yeah, if I'd only listen, I told you so. So you're a little more reluctant to be like, hey, I need your help, because you're going to feel like that person's looking at you like. So I try to, when I'm dealing with my kids, especially with sports and just life in general, I try to give life lessons. I'm like, this is what happened to me. This is how I experienced it. This is what I went through. And you take it and go with it as you will. But my kids are like me, so when they do make those mistakes, they know, like, all right, I got it. You told me so. I'm like, no. How do we fix it? How do we make this better?
Right.
Because, like you said, with my contingency plan, let's say he does go out there and he decides I want to play. Well, you have to know we only have 4 games to really decide, are you ready to play? And those first 4 games probably aren't the best competition. They're kind of that mid-level. You want to get your team rolling. You want them feeling good. So when they do hit those, in our case, the Michigans, the Iowas, the Oregon, USC, you want to be ready. You want to have some game experience. So those first 4 games, you may have a balling out. You may have numbers off the charts, and then all of a sudden you get into a Michigan game and you get your butt kicked. Or you go against Iowa and you roll your ankle. You're going to be out for 3 weeks. So now you don't have that buffer anymore. So that's my contingency plan, is that I want and I hope that the university and my son are both like, okay, we don't need you to play. If you're ready, we'll take you. But I'd love to see them push him more towards, let's stay on the bench. And if we need you, then we'll pull you off. But, it's once again, man, it's just these young 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
They don't want to see that long term, like this is better for you down the road.
And these, like you mentioned, like the USCs and the Oregon, some of those big dog teams. You think about how immaculate their game plan is. They know that you're susceptible. When they look at that game plan, they know that you're going to be playing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we know he's sort of lunch meat. Yeah. Maybe he can get through this, but he ain't been here before like you.
Right.
So then the psychological battle's happening there too. And does Deuce know that? Is he aware that these people know that he is a red shirt? He's here for the first time in the game mode.
And it's not that he hasn't played college football, but each division you have and everything's changing now. You have the Big 12, you have the Big 10, and you have the SEC. And as you move up, the SEC and the Big 10 are supposed to be where the big boys play. That's going to be more your physical lineup, smash mouth football, whereas the Big 12 is going to be more pass oriented. It's not as physical as some of these other divisions. So for him, I know that he can play the game. I know that he is able to go out there and do it. But I guess I just want him to make sure he's had every avenue to be ready, to go out there and take that extra year. But it just goes back to, once again, he wants to play so bad, right. And he's having success, and he's having success in practice. I'm kind of like, hey, go talk to your coach, go talk to your defensive coordinator, see where their mindset is. Like, talk to them and get a feel of, do they want you to play this year? Do they need you to play? Are you a luxury? Or what are you? Like, are you somebody who they're going to bring in on third down? Or are you looking at me to be a starter? And those are the kind of things that it's hard to get across to him being so far away. Text messages, calling.
Do you think he's already had those conversations and he's just kind of keeping you out of it? He's like, I'm going to go through and have these without you.
Yeah, I'm laughing because we've just talked about this. Like, hey, I'm getting to be a man. I don't have to involve you in everything I do.
Right.
And it's very tough to back off. It's so tough because I find myself I'm always looking online at, articles. I'm looking up stuff, and I want to send him stuff, and I have to remind myself, like, okay, I got to let him go a little bit. Like, right. I can't keep, hey, do you know this? Do you know that? Like, you don't want to see them hurt themselves, but sometimes they have to touch that stove and see that it's hot.
They have to understand that it's fire there.
Yeah. And it's just funny how this all has lined up when you talk about helicopter parenting, and now I'm dealing with it, and I'm having to sit here and admit that I am like, oh, you're doing the right thing. Don't do this. Don't do that. And it's like he's kind of backing off like, dude, I got it.
Yeah.
Like I'm almost 21 now, which, what does that mean? But whatever.
Like I said, worst age.
Yeah. and he's, in his mind, is like, I want to do this. I want to be a man. I'm starting to be a man. I got to make these decisions for myself. I have to go talk to these people, which is great. But there's still that part of me that's like, I'm your dad. You still got to tell me what's going on. But I'm like,
he is becoming a man. Yeah.
He is becoming a man, and he has to deal with this on his own. So as tough as it is for me, I know it's even tougher for Mom.
And you gotta trust that you've done what you should have done to get him mentally prepared for this situation.
Absolutely.
That's the part, is trusting yourself that you've not only built his football skills, but you've built his understanding of the world, his understanding of how to navigate the business side of it, and go, all right, now this is your proving grounds on the other side of the ball too.
Yeah. It definitely is. But it's hard as a parent because, you're pushing them out of their nest, and, you have to spread your wings and fly.
Right.
And in your heart, I know I did a good job, but it's still scary to be like, oh my God, like, is he going to get that?
Because you've seen his entire life.
Yeah.
I mean, I got toddlers now. I got a 4 and a 2-year-old. So I'm hearing this and I'm just like, holy moly. There's going to be a point where they're going to go, I'm out in the world without you.
Yeah, I don't need you.
And I can't even, I can, but I can't even envision that.
No, it's very tough. And it's easy for me to sit here sometimes and, my mom, but I'm just as guilty of it myself with my kids.
Right.
And especially when it comes to something that I know so well and that I love and that I'm so dedicated to. It's like, I understand the pitfalls. Like, please let me just help you across this. And it's like, no, I got it. I'll do it myself. And it's like, just to sit back and have to be like, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's very tough. that's why we're having this conversation now.
I think that's a really good takeaway for anybody who's in the same position, whether it's football or their own vocation. Maybe it's baseball, maybe it's basketball, maybe it's competitive dance or cheerleading. You know, I know competitive cheerleaders that have those same stakes. You know, you get to the cliff's edge and there isn't any real right answer which way to jump, but you do have to jump.
Yeah, you have to take that leap of faith.
You do got to jump. Yeah. And I can't push you. I can't push you because that's gonna be a tumble for you. You have to jump and clear the rocks.
Yeah, you do.
And you got to pick the spot you're gonna land.
Yeah, and you have to look back and say, I did it.
I did it.
And then I, as a parent, could be like, they did it. And it gives them more confidence, and it gives you confidence to let go. But as a parent, and
scary.
It's scary.
It's scary.
And that's why, like, when I have these things and I talk about with my mom and we laugh at some of the stories that I tell, I'm like, I have a better understanding and deeper appreciation going through it now with my own kids of, wow, I have to let you grow up and be an adult. You know, I have to let you venture out into this world and make mistakes and know that I've given you all the information that you need to be successful.
If I was to be just devil's advocate right now, I would even wager that you're more scared of this than he is right now.
Yes. I definitely am more afraid because I don't know, because he's so far away. I have no idea what's going on, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts. Like, yeah, so this is my therapist hour with Omar.
Cut to the bone.
Yeah, let's just cut to the
let's get to the white
real
meat
of what's going on with you. But it does. It's because he went from being right down the road. I could just jump in the car and go check on him and see about him. Now it's like, man, you're in Seattle. Like, why don't you call me? Listen to me. You need to listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. So thanks for calling me out there, buddy.
Deuce, I got your back.
I see, right? You put me on Front Street with that one. Yeah, I think I am. I think it's harder for me to deal with. And that just goes back to what we talk about. It's harder for the parent to let go than it is for the kid.
And it always will be. Because they're excited for the newness, but you've already seen it. And they have to see it with the same wisdom as you, but they have to experience all the risk that comes with it. Yeah. It's so hard.
It is. That is very hard.
Well, I mean,
that was a good diagnosis there.
Yes.
It's very good.
You got to keep us updated on when that game is, because he's going to be in one, it looked like.
Yeah. I mean, believe me, I'll let you know as it goes on that, hey, this is what's happening. But I'm hoping that it's that he gets redshirted. But if he's ready to play, then it's like, you know what? Go for it.
Go for it.
I'm not going to hold you back, but I just know the benefits of what that redshirt year could do for you. And if you're already exceeding what they think or what they thought about you coming into this season, then giving them another year, getting into that playbook, learning it inside and out, going against the #1 offense every single day. You're only sharpening your tools. So we'll see how it goes.
We'll see
how it plays out. Thanks for tuning in to The Route. Don't forget to subscribe and connect with us on socials for exclusive updates. We'll see you next week.